Today we are tracking drums and cymbals separately, and this is not a terribly uncommon technique. The most famous example I can think of is the Queens of the Stone Age record Songs for the Deaf, and that is Dave Grohl being tracked on tape by Eric Valentine in a small little room, and the methodology was tracking real drum shells and then having electronic cymbal pads going through Dave's ears, and then doing the opposite, tracking real cymbals but having drum pads. And this was, as the story goes, much to Dave's chagrin, because there's no Pro Tools punching in and he's having to remember exactly how he played and every single fill and, you know, full Dave Grohl energy. But it's an amazing sounding record with a very interesting and I think unique drum sound. And the idea behind recording this way is to be able to have full control over the cymbal mix and the shells mix, and then to be able to get whatever blend between them you want without having bleed between the microphones, especially if you're in a small room and especially if it's someone hitting like Dave Grohl. Any cymbals that are hit are going to get into every other microphone. So this is for better or for worse, and to some drummers and recording engineers this very idea is anathema, but it's really just a technique, and it's one that I had never tried before, either as a drummer being tracked that way or as an engineer tracking someone else or even mixing anything in that way. So I figured it would be cool to try and to let you in on the process as well. I had a buddy of mine send me a demo, basically just a guitar and bass demo, and I'm just taking one small section and I've written sort of a basic rock part to it that includes a lot of washy cymbals and enough shells as well, so that, you know, we'll get a good idea whether it's worth it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bass line, and I've already got a recording setup and kind of a mix going in this room with this setup right now. So I'm just going to track normally both cymbals and drums at the same time to get a bass line, and then I'm going to do it separately. I'm going to take the cymbals off and track just drums, and then I'm going to do the opposite. I'll put the cymbals up, and I'm just going to sort of be air drumming. I don't have electronic drum pads I'm going to be using, so I'm going to see how it goes, just sort of miming along with the limbs that are supposed to be playing the drums or the limbs that are supposed to be playing the cymbals while I'm playing the other one. So I just finished tracking, and I just wanted to comment on the actual experience of playing. For me, it was kind of weird, and I didn't think it would take me a minute to get used to, but it did. I hadn't really thought of how much of our patterns are interdependent. So, you know, playing a certain cymbal crash sort of becomes dependent on hitting, you know, the floor tom before it. And so even with, you know, miming and air drumming along, I was really having to think and expend some mental energy there. So I think it would have been easier if I had like electronic pads or something to give me some sort of actual feedback rather than just kind of pulling my punches. But yeah, got it done. It wasn't terribly difficult, but it is something where I would want to have a specific part figured out beforehand. I wouldn't want to just wing it with the part and then have to try and remember it going back and forth. So I've recorded, but I haven't mixed this yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll show you the audio now of the regularly tracked audio, and then also the independent cymbals, the independent drums, and then whatever sort of mix I'm able to get by putting those together. And then I'll probably check in from the computer and give some comments on just what the mixing process was like. So here are the audio examples now. Okay, so here we are several days later at the computer, and I'm not going to spend too long on this portion because my screen recorder tends to cut out after just a few minutes. So I just wanted to bring you into the session here. You've already heard the audio comparisons, but I just wanted to poke around a little bit and kind of show you what we're working with here. So you can see that we've got the just the drums up here. If I solo this, just the shells, and then just the cymbals down here. And I'm just getting the cymbals with the overheads and then the room microphones, and then I've got all the mics going for the drum shells. And so what's nice here, the big selling point of this method is being able to blend the cymbals in exactly as much as you want. So you can see here, I can turn them all the way down. Just have a little bit. You know, if I'd recorded them at the same time, might be about here. Or if you wanted to go for a mix that was more shell heavy, just turn them down. And then you can mix more aggressively with the shells or the cymbals separately. You can really isolate the annoying frequencies in the cymbals and dip them out, or you can make the drum shells much brighter. That would normally bring up the harshness of the cymbals, but won't do that in this case. So, for example, you know, I can add brightness to just the shell. Right, I'm adding a ton of top end there that would normally make the cymbals way, way, way too bright, but you know, I can do that if I want with this method. So with the track, so anyways, it's a really flexible method, and it was a little bit awkward recording, but the actual tracks didn't sound as disjointed as I thought they would. I thought the groove would kind of suffer, but it didn't that much in my opinion. I was surprised at how much it sounded like I had actually played them at the same time. So yeah, this is something that I'll definitely keep in my back pocket and in the back of my mind for future recording sessions. This is something that if you have the time and if you have a drummer that's willing, totally worth checking out and trying if you're looking for that additional flexibility. So thank you for checking it out with me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.